Order online at picassospizza.net.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Pay the Bills post-game show here, presented by Picasso's Pizza. Jake Mikey here with Mike Bunt, a couple hours after the Buffalo Bills wild card victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. Comeback victory, the first game-winning drive in the postseason for Josh Allen, the first road victory in the postseason since 1992 for the Buffalo Bills, redeeming themselves from the original Sean McDermott playoff loss in Jacksonville. It was a back and forth heavyweight battle, Bunt. How are we feeling a couple hours later after the Bills win?
I'm still feeling pretty great, man. That was a hell of a victory. As you know, I picked the Jaguars to win this game, and I also said, should the Bills win, they have the path to where they should make it to the Super Bowl. So kind of mixed feelings as the game was going on. I felt a lot more nervous because going in, Jacksonville had better metrics. They were 1.5 point favorite, and it's been a difficult place for the Bills to play over the years in important games.
Absolutely.
And, so I feel great. The defense stepped up. I know statistically they allowed 24 points and they struggled against the run, but the defense really did a good job of limiting a very good passing attack. And Josh Allen came through. I know it sounds funny saying this, but his first fourth quarter comeback game-winning drive in the postseason. Now, he had 13 seconds where he did it twice, and the defense and special teams ruined it for him. But the Bills' first road win since 1992.
Crazy.
They could have crumbled several times in this game. You look after the Ray Davis fumble on special teams to hold them to no points and get a fourth down stop. You look at after allowing Jacksonville to score to take the lead with around 4 minutes left, to go all the way down. And then the defense comes up big with a minute left to go. So I'm still on cloud nine. I feel very excited, and I can't wait to see how these remaining two AFC wildcard games go, because depending on what happens, the Bills' odds could really skyrocket if they can get a Chargers and a Pittsburgh victory tonight and tomorrow.
It is a little weird right now that the NFC is already settled and ready to go, and that the AFC, we only have the Bills through and have so much unknown. I would imagine that tonight that the schedule will come out once this game is done, because then we'll at least know what the matchups likely will be outside of, deciding who will win the Houston, and they'll know the timing of everything that they could do. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, man, it had a little bit of everything today. It really was. I think we could look back at it later on in the playoffs, and maybe, depending on what happens, but it really was a heavyweight fight. It felt like two really good teams throwing a lot at each other. Defenses both stepped up at times for the teams. The offenses had some really good drives and some really nice moments. The quarterbacks both had some really nice plays. We're big Chargers fan contingent from Bills Mafia going on right now, which is fair. I think that I understand wanting to potentially go to thinking about going to Pittsburgh or Houston instead of the number one seed. That does make a lot. But I do think that we won't get ahead of ourselves with next week. We'll still focus on today and everything going on.
I'll get ahead of myself later on the show. I definitely
whoa.
Going.
I'm not afraid to get
off. If you get a Chargers win tonight, everything is open for the Bills. And I know people are going to say, well, watch out. You might end up facing the Houston Texans. That could be pretty scary. I'll tell you two things. One, the Bills have no reason to be afraid of the Houston Texans.
No.
Houston is a very good team. They've beaten the Bills 2 straight years. Yes, they're a difficult matchup. Their defense is unbelievable. But let's remember, the Bills had a chance with the ball inside the 25-yard line with under a minute left to beat Houston. So despite how bad the Bills' offense played against the Texans earlier this season, they still had a chance to win at the end. Number two, Houston's defense Houston's offense, pardon me, is not that consistent. They have a lot of holes, and if the Bills can play an offense that they know that they can at least put up with and contain for the most part, that means you're winning the game if your offense takes care of business. And I believe if you play the same team twice in a season, the Bills will come up with some answers. And this is another point. I don't think it's a guarantee Houston's going to beat Pittsburgh. You look at that line right now, it's a 3-point line favoring Houston, but it's on the road, and 60+% of the money is on Houston. That strikes me as a fade all day. And if somehow the Bills are playing Pittsburgh in the divisional round with how Aaron Rodgers is playing, you might have a chance to host an AFC championship. Now, if the Patriots kill the Chargers today, you're going to Denver no matter what. I think the Bills would be favored against Denver, to be honest with you. Now, if you do have an unlikely,
you think so? You think they'd get to favored? Maybe like a similar line as it was
against
into this
Denver,
week.
it'd be close. It's tough, man, because Denver is more of an impressive defense than they are offense. So I don't know if Denver would light up the Bills defense. And when you think about it, so like I think that line would be very close, but the Bills might be favored, probably should be. And if you get a scenario where you're playing Pittsburgh, and let's say the Chargers are playing the Broncos in the divisional round, the Chargers can beat the Broncos. That's a division rivalry. That is not your ordinary 1 versus 7 seed playoff matchup should it happen. So
and if the Chargers go on the road and win this game right now, like then you have to feel good about them beating anybody at this point.
Yeah, like Jacksonville's been playing the hottest football in the AFC, and unlike New England, the Jaguars have beaten a lot of top level teams. They defeated the 49ers this year. They defeated the Denver Broncos on the road. They actually toasted them. They split with the Texans. They beat the Chiefs earlier in the year when the Chiefs were still playing for something. So I think there's a lot to be excited about this matchup. And once again, we saw another example of playoff experience benefiting a team like the Bills because Josh Allen knew what to do in the biggest moment. Now, credit to Trevor Lawrence for originally getting the Jaguars the lead with about 4 minutes remaining. But you get the ball with 105 left, and the first thing you do is throw into a tight window, interception after a tip, and that's the game. Trevor Lawrence has been unbelievable the last 5-6 weeks of the season. He was not unbelievable today. And I do believe Sean McDermott deserves a lot of credit for that because what do we talk about all the time? The Bills defense doesn't show up in the bright moments. They don't show up in the big moments against good offensive teams. This was a very good offensive team the Bills played today, and they took care of business. They held them to 4 points under their season average. And I know a lot of people, they like to say the Bills don't beat good teams in the playoffs. They just beat all these backup quarterbacks and horrible teams. The Bills have now beaten the Ravens twice in the playoffs. Now you add this Jaguars win over a team that was 13-4 in their own place. The Bills can beat good teams in the playoffs. It's just there's one team they've struggled against, and luckily for them, that team is not around.
Yep. It might have been a mental thing with that team, and maybe that's why they look. I mean, the Bills did not look like they were out of sorts at all today. It wasn't like a lot of besides the fumble by Davis, not a lot of back-breaking mistakes that were happening. It was just a really well-coached games both ways. But yeah, we did talk about all week. A lot of the talk was if Lawrence, what are the bright lights going to look like? Like we've seen him a couple times in the playoffs, yes, but you're the favorite. You have Josh Allen and the Bills coming into town. Like you're, with a new coach, like what are you going to look like in this spot? And no quarterback. You're never going to feel good when your season ends on your quarterback throwing an interception to lose the game. It was those, even the first pick was a throw that you saw from Lawrence earlier in the season or past versions of Lawrence where that guy was never, Thompson was just sitting there. I don't know, Lawrence didn't see him at all, but he just threw it. There was no business making that throw. And Allen was perfect today. Allen was exactly what he needed to do. He was efficient. He was ruthlessly efficient. He didn't make a major mistake at all. There really wasn't like any interceptable balls or anything like that. And his composure through all of it too. He's getting hit. He's getting beat up. He's in the medical tent. He's holding his knee. He hits his hand on a helmet and just battles through all of that. And it was honestly, if you want to talk, I keep coming back to it all season long, and it's a term that annoys fans, but it's like one of the truest things ever. This is a game of complementary football from as much as anything else. You have Wisnowski getting a punt down inside the 2 at an important spot. You have Prater battling through an injury and just killed it on the kicks today. Like even Davis still had good returns outside of the fumble. Like the defense stepping up, making plays. The secondary, like Cole Bishop all game, honestly. Trey White all game. Trey White was the CB1 today. They were trying to target Trey White and stay away from Christian Benford, it seemed like, and he was making plays on the ball all day long. You could tell he looks confident. It was a full-on team win from the Bills in a time where they needed it the most and where they came into the game. That was one of the possibilities I was thinking of all week, Mike, because a lot of professional pride on this team, a lot of experience, a team that's been there the last couple of years. And what was the talking point all week long that they heard? Well, Josh Allen has to carry them to a win. Otherwise, this team just doesn't match up. The roster doesn't have enough talent, X, Y, and whatever. We've talked at length this year about problems with the roster construction, but we're in the playoffs right now, and it's not that, like, after a win, that's not really the point. I'm not going to belabor it too much. But there's a lot of guys out there with a lot of pride who have won a lot of games. And that's what it felt like today, was a unit that felt slighted, felt disrespected in a way, and really just they were sure of themselves and locked in. And that's all we wanted to ask from them, was like, don't beat yourselves in this game. Go put your best effort out and see what happens against a really good team. And they relied on that experience, relied on that. They were composed the whole time. And it came through in the 2 biggest moments of the game when they needed it to. And so at least through 1 week, our theory that if the Bills, being the most experienced team in this AFC field, could be the biggest difference, it came through. It came through for Allen on that drive. It came through for the defense multiple times against a new rookie coach in there. And here we are fighting on in another 6 straight years, at least, making the divisional round. You can't hang a banner for that.
Only
but
the 4th team in NFL history to win a playoff game in 6 consecutive years. Like, we can all talk about the shortcomings, and yes, it's unbelievable they haven't been to a Super Bowl yet. It's honestly baffling when you think about it, but they also are starting to approach historic levels of consistent success at a very high level.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it is because the quarterback has the performances like he has today. And what we've talked about, there's been plenty of things to critique him on this year. I think we've done that pretty fairly. And he talked about a lot of it this week, talking about not taking plays that were available to him. And he took everything available for him today. But the throw to Cooks was just, that's the couple plays you need from him, where when he plays within himself and then can unleash the 40-yard pass off his back foot, all arm throw to open Brandon Cooks, and a big moment with a linebacker screaming in his face. Like, that's what you hope for too. How about this wide receiver room? And I do think a lot of it was the Bills or the Jags, the way they were defending the Bills, taking away the tight ends, focusing a lot on the tight ends in the middle of the field and allowing the Bills receivers to have some matchups, especially Shakir having more space on the inside rather than the tight ends. But we look at this group. Gabe Davis goes out in this game, and they're basically running out, and Shavers gets hurt too. And it's Keon Coleman, Brandon Cooks, Khalil Shakir. And that's basically what we're going to be looking at now at this point. I mean, Shavers will get mixed in, but I would imagine those are going to be the receivers going into the next couple rounds. And oddly, it's kind of like a quirky enough, fun group of like misfits that I kind of love that this is the group that is going on this run right now with them. And they all do that. Like, if Cooks is going to be healthy and have that kind of threat, and like you said, if he drops one, he could have like 88 yards on 4 catches in this game. That's all you could ever ask for from him. If Shakir is going to get back to his full Shakir self and then Coleman just has to make a couple plays. Like, it's not ideal, obviously, but I think that they do have, with a healthy Kincaid and how much attention he brings, they can get enough when Allen plays within himself out of this group.
Yeah, it's really interesting because however defenses attack you, there's going to be openings. It's just nobody has a perfect defense. So it looked like Jacksonville came in and they're like, we're not going to let James Cook run the ball on us. And we're going to take Dalton Kincaid out of this game. And we're going to just see if you have anybody else that can step up and make a play. And it was very successful for long stretches of this game. But when the going got tough late, they couldn't step up. And it's interesting because that has been kind of the recipe to having success against the Bills offense this year, is if you can stop the run and you can limit the tight ends, good luck to your receivers doing things. But I will say, I think some of that is changing a little bit. Cooks did not do much at all on the ground today, but when you look at Brandon Cooks and Khalil Shakir in the pass game, they were difference makers. That Cooks, honestly, he should have had it, like you said, around 80, 90 yards. And if he doesn't drop the one, which I'm still not convinced entirely that
it was really close.
It was close, but when it's called a catch on the field, and from everything I saw, no definitive evidence that he actually didn't have control of the ball if it touched. I don't even know, like, I haven't even seen a slow-mo, like, if where it touched and where the ball was in his hands. They keep showing the same clip, but nothing that they showed on TV was definitive, in my opinion, even if it was likely that it might have been incomplete. And if that was incomplete, you can make an argument for the Jacoby Myers catch earlier in the game. And I thought that was a catch by Jacoby Myers. I don't like, and this is a whole nother discussion. I don't like in a game like the NFL where we're saying what is a catch or not based on like one frame out of like a tenth of a second. Like, if he has possession of the ball going to the ground and it barely nicks the ground and you don't see the ball move, who are we to say that deserves to be overturned? Now, what my thought process is, they saw it go through his hands at first and him double clutching it. It doesn't matter, though, as long as he regained possession before it goes down. And I feel like they judged it based on the original miss and not really how the play followed through. But regardless, Brandon Cooks does help this Bills team. And it's funny because he wasn't even good enough to be on the Saints midseason, but maybe part of that was the Saints realizing he was getting older and they just wanted to give him an opportunity to actually play somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they realize you're not part of our future plans. And we don't really need you on this team. And it just doesn't serve our purpose. And Cooks is exactly what the Bills need. He does still have something left in the tank. He does get open downfield. And it has allowed guys like Khalil Shakir to have some more openings. And I want to make one other little comment too. A lot of our fan base just completely shits on the receiver screens. And I get it. They're frustrated. When it's 3rd and 10 and you're seeing them run a receiver screen and they're getting 2 yards on it. But if we really broke down every single receiver screen the Bills have done over the last couple years, they do have a pretty good success rate on them. And they do better on them than a lot of other teams in the league. And Romo brings up a great point. The one receiver screen to Shakir, it's a numbers game. You got 3 people to the right. They have 2. It's 3rd and 10. Yes, he has to break a tackle, but as long as you execute it properly, you got the 2 blocks, you break 1 tackle, you have one of the best yak receivers in the game. What's more likely, getting that to work or 3rd and 10, hoping that your pass protection holds up and that one of your receivers gets open? And I just don't think we actually talk enough about what's the probability of success on a given play versus the probability if they do something else. And we judge,
especially if they're going to run it on, if you're in 4-down territory and you're going to run it, like, you might not be trying to get the 3rd down. You might be trying to just get 6 or 8 yards. Also, Drake May just threw a pick at his own 6-yard line, got deflected, and the Chargers have the ball now. So,
I'm telling you, dude, that's a fade game. And if it plays out that way, woo, dude,
the
I'm
world's
gonna start
opened
thinking
up.
Super Bowl. But what I will say is, like, a play call that was great for the Bills was 3rd and 4 on the final drive, where they end up being a half yard short before the tush push. Why is that great? Because you're not running the ball effectively at that point. You can't trust your run game to get you 1 or 2 yards. And if we're being real, they're not running it much with Josh Allen right now. Why? Because he's banged up and he probably doesn't. It looked like earlier in the year he might have lost a step. Try to imagine
He might
running
just
all
be
the
hurt
time
now. Yeah,
when you're banged up the way he is.
your
But it was
foot,
a good
your
play
ankle,
because
your
yeah,
whatever.
the pass to, I believe it was Shakir in that moment. Easy completion, high probability of positive yards, and it sets up a very 4th and inches. And I know Jacksonville almost got a stop on one of the tush pushes, but on 4th and inches, you're trusting you're going to convert, and then it gives yourself an opportunity to kill some more clock and give yourself a chance to score. And I know this isn't the way the Bills fans want their offense to be based off, but when the Bills aren't running the ball effectively, it's almost more paramount for them to find a way to pass for 4 yards at times or pass the ball for 5 yards at times, because otherwise they're going to be behind the chains the entire game. But there was a lot to like about what the Bills did today, and there's some things to dislike, but the best thing I can respond to people is, how often are they going to struggle to run the ball like that? Not often at all. And if they do get the run game going and Josh continues to take what's given to him, that's a very dangerous offense going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it wasn't a clean game by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure that they're going to go back and change a lot of things around. But yeah, especially the thing about the run game, like, they're playing against the best run defense in the league against the Jags. Next week, if they were to play the Broncos, the second best run defense in the league. So it's not going to be any easier sledding, but that's what happens when we're in the playoffs here. You know, you're playing against the best of the best, and you just got to find ways to get it done. And that's what Allen did today. The run game wasn't going, like you said earlier. The narrative was, if the Bills' run game isn't going, their offense is shut down, and that just wasn't the case today. You'll take 27 points. There are missed opportunities out there, and they still got 27 points. So, and then, all right, well, the Chargers didn't do anything with that. They ran Justin Herbert on the first 2 plays and didn't score. Then they ran a pass play, and Herbert pulled it and tried to run and didn't score. And then he threw an incompletion on 4th and goal. There's your live update bunt. So now
oh my goodness,
Patriots have the ball back there. There's a lot of chaos going on there. But yeah, the offense itself is just like, they're not the high level explosive offense of the Bills of old and the original Allen teams that everybody fell in love with, and just to see the fast strike offense, the deep shots, the big crossers, everything else. But at their best, they're so efficient, and it's death by 1,000 cuts a lot of games to teams, where they just throw so much at you, and you're not going to be able to stop it all. And then once they figure out what works, they're going to hammer it and 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 hammer it until you stop it. And that's the screen. But the bubble screen opens up. The fake on the bubble screen opens up a touchdown to Dalton Kincaid in this game in the 4th quarter. Like, it all has reasoning for it behind it later on in the game. And they have been one of the elite offenses in the league. That was one of the things I posted Allen and Lawrence's stats leading up to this game, because it was like, I did not hear the notion that the Bills offense was elite, but heard the notion that the Jags offense was elite. Is much more throughout this big run. And the Jags got, they had a really great second half, and so turned it up more than they were in the first half. So it's a different kind of appreciation for that, I guess. But as much as we've had problems with how or not even us, but like fans have had problems with how the Bills offense has functioned, when they've been good, when they've been on, they're scoring high 20s in the 30s every single game. And there's so many teams in the league that would beg for that. Even and left in the playoffs that would beg for that. And just and we talk about the ceiling of this team and how it can be. The ceiling's still really high because they played really good. And I wouldn't even know if that was an A-. That might be a B+ game from the Bills today. But that B+ is enough to get a win on the road against one of the hottest teams in the NFL. It's a good reason that on Polymarket they are the second place Super Bowl odds and AFC odds, because who's gonna what's the narrative on the podcast and all the shows going to be tomorrow? Who wants to play the Bills? No one. It's going to be you don't want to. None of these teams are going to want. Denver's not going to be feeling good if Buffalo's coming into town. Houston or Pittsburgh isn't going to be happy about Buffalo coming in the way they are at this point. Nobody's going to.
Welcome to the divisional round. Your reward for having the 1 seed this season is playing Josh Allen, the defending MVP. And that's the thing that you and I kind of been talking about for a while. This Bills team has been inconsistent enough this year to where they could lose in the first round to a team like Jacksonville, but they're also good enough where they could represent the AFC and go to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And I believe too many people have been harping on that they're not good enough. It's never been that the Bills aren't good enough. It's been that they're not consistent enough. But when you get to this point, it's 1 week at a time. You're not overlooking any opponent at this point. So, everybody all year is talking up the Jaguars, and they're trying to be the sleeper trending pick. And, I like the Jaguars. I think if the Jaguars won this game today, the Jaguars could have gone on a run. And maybe they could have been representing the AFC. But the fact of it is, when you're looking at the rest of the AFC, it's just other teams like the Jaguars, teams that have flashy, solid young quarterbacks, solid defenses, but very inexperienced and don't really have anything to rely on when the going gets tough.
Yeah.
So tell me, why should I feel differently about the Patriots or the Broncos or the Texans? I don't know what Drake May is going to look like when the moment gets tough. I don't know what
He already has an interception within the first 15 minutes of his first playoff start.
Yeah, so I don't know. Say it is Bills at Denver. I'd be a little disappointed because I'd like to see New England eliminated, and I'm still hoping for Pittsburgh. But say it is Bills versus Denver. It's a similar matchup. It's a similar matchup. And
lower ceiling offense even too. The Broncos offense is not even close to the electric offense that the
that's the
Jaguars
thing.
had.
That's the thing too. I think right now, outside of the Bills, the highest floor team in the AFC at the current moment is the New England Patriots. The highest ceiling team, pardon me. The highest ceiling team. And the reason I say that is when Drake May is clicking and their defense is going, they've killed some teams. Now they've had a weak schedule, but that's not their fault. They're playing the teams that they're playing. But the Bills can't play the Patriots until the AFC Championship. So say it is Buffalo at Denver and you win. Well, Houston or New England or Pittsburgh, you could see another upset. Something else could happen before then. So and if it ends up being Bills at New England in an AFC Championship, they're divisional opponents. We know what they are. They know what we are. So that's kind of to our advantage in some way.
I would think so, yeah.
But I would rather avoid it and play somebody else in the AFC Championship if we were to get there. So please win, Chargers.
That is the most cathartic, destined. Here's the thing, Mike, the destiny run. If we're just doing slaying demons and just personal effects and everything else, how good this would feel. We're on pace because the Jags today, Trey White making a big play. His first, he breaks the drought in his rookie year and is on that team, and then makes the big pass deflection at the end to seal this game and plays awesome. And McDermott getting the first road win back at the place where he, had his first playoff game. So we have all that. Bills in Denver. They just tried to throw the ball to Drake May on 3rd and 4 for an incompletion. So they're getting cute. Denver, the whole Denver storyline of this is the state of Wyoming invading Denver, Colorado, and supporting Josh Allen. Like how many fans that live in Wyoming now that are now Bills fans because of Josh Allen are descending onto Mile High on behalf of?
I don't think it would be that. I don't think it would be that many.
I don't know. You never know. But I think that Allen going back there, I think there will be some kind of, because Wyoming was Broncos country until Josh Allen arrived to the scene, and now there is so much attention to the Bills there. So there's a little fun thing there for Allen as much as anything else. And then the Patriots game, there's obviously so many different things that we could get into with that. And the league probably wants that game at this point.
The only reason I don't want the Patriots is, could you imagine if we lost?
Oh, it'd be horrible. But it's a risk it for the biscuit game, because if you win, then it's like, oh my God, we're going to the Super Bowl and we beat the Patriots in Foxborough to do it. Like it's a pretty good feeling. If it's not beating the Chiefs, that's a pretty good close second to go to the Super Bowl, is beat New England in New England, I will say. But we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here, but that's what we're at. I mean, we're not really getting ahead of ourselves, because we're now down. The Bills are going to be one of the final 8 teams left in the playoffs again. They're going to be, like you said, they're going to be favored over whoever they play next.
You know, it'd be funny if you asked Patriots fans, who would you rather face if they were to get to the AFC Championship? Would you rather play the Broncos and go on the road, or play the Bills at home? And I think most Patriots fans would say Bills at home, because they've already beaten us once. The other game was close, and they would like to have a home game. But I think metric-wise, the Patriots are about to go up front.
Josh, would you rather play Josh Allen or Bo Nix?
I think the smart answer would be go on the road and beat Bo Nix, but I think a lot of fans
the Patriots are favored in Denver, right? Like if that's a game, I feel like it's like Patriots minus like this 1.5 or 2. I feel like they would.
It's so interesting, because the Patriots the metrics are so messed up from like a DVOA standpoint, because DVOA factors in your opponent. And their schedule was so weak that it's impossible to weight it properly to like show them the proper amount of respect while not penalizing them. So like DVOA doesn't even think the Patriots are that great in some aspects, but like in reality, like we know they're a top 5 team in the NFL.
Yeah.
So
who knows then? What else is there to get into about this game, Bun? I mean, it was just a gritty, gutty performance, I think, from a team who's been there a lot, who's been there before, who's been in these playoff games, been in these big moments. And I think they just pulled from all that knowledge and wisdom to get this done. Like they didn't blink. They love saying that, don't blink. They definitely didn't blink today. I don't think that team panicked when they go down 24-20. They also, I mean, let's be real. That was a bad holding call on Christian Benford to even keep that drive going, to give the Jacksonville Jaguars a chance to take the lead again. They call holding on 3rd and 8. They give us one blurry camera angle of him holding him. It was a little sus, I'm not going to lie. But
Tony Romo did say that Milano was mugging his guy. So
he said Milano could have been. Yeah, okay.
So, but you're right. That Benford didn't do much to actually deserve a penalty on that play. I don't know. I don't want to be honest. We could probably keep it short tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think there's really too much.
Well, because we have to save, like, for Tuesday's show, it'll be nice because then we can talk the matchup as much as anything else. That's the thing. That's why it's weird. Like, there's not a lot of AFC. We can't talk about fallout as much as anything. We're the first domino to fall here as we're talking here at Sunday Night Football.
What I would say right now is today showed the Bills are still a really good football team. And for anyone that looked at them this year and were like, well, the Bills are no longer one of the top dogs in the AFC. Well, that's false. They just went into a 13-4 division champion house and took them down. So the Bills are definitely still one of the top dogs. we said before the postseason, would you rather score 28 points a game but know that you're going to consistently do it? Or would you want to score like 33, 34 points a game but have an up and down road? And I said, give me like 27, 28 points a game. Do what your season averages, and I'll take it for 4 games because I think that'll be enough to like get you to a Super Bowl. And I think the answer might have been different if the Chiefs and the Bengals were still around, because I would tell you, I don't know if 28 points is going to be enough. So I guess what I'm encouraged about right now is when I watch Jacksonville play, when I watch Denver play, and even to a lesser extent, maybe New England and some of these other AFC teams, I think they all have lower ceilings offensively than what previous teams the Bills have lost to in the playoffs. So everybody always brings up the Bills defense. I'll say this. I think the Bills defense against most of these teams is going to have similar efforts to what they had today, to where they're going to allow between 20 to 24 points. And if they play pretty good, maybe they hold a team to 17. If they play pretty bad, maybe they allow 27 to 30. But if the Bills, like, none of these offenses scare me. So it basically opens the door to where you tell Josh, play within yourself. Don't worry about a shootout. And you do your job. We're going to have a chance in every game. Because even when the Bills lost this year, they had a chance in most of the games. Even the games where it looked like they were about to get blown out, they had opportunities.
You mentioned the Houston game earlier, Mike. It was literally that game was 23-19. The Bills had the ball here 24-20, and they just completed the drive and got it. It was literally the same exact game situation, except they got it done this time around. Yeah,
and like getting a win like this, like in the past, the Bills wouldn't have won this game. Like this kind of shows, like, do the Bills have the ability of stepping up in a big moment? It looks like May's throwing it just randomly in the end zone. Okay, that's incomplete.
Another 4th down.
Are they going to go for it?
Nope. Field goal.
Are they really kicking it?
Yeah.
You're ahead of me. That's
sorry.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'm okay because I wanted them to kick it because I'm always fearful they're going to convert. It's funny. I watched New England, like Tom Brady's still their quarterback.
I feel like it though with Drake May. Like know.
But at the end of the day, like it's kind of what I said earlier in the year. When the Bills play at their ceiling, they are the best team in the AFC. And I know people would say, well, the metrics don't agree with that. And this is where you have to look past the metrics. No other team in the AFC has a Josh Allen. So when the Bills are losing this game late, you still have the confidence that they can come back and they can convert on that drive. A lot of other teams, you can't say the same thing for.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays out. But I want to say credit to a bunch of guys on this defense. Number one, Shaq Thompson. What a difference maker he's been since he's been inserted in the starting linebacker on this team. And that was something I was calling for early in the season.
Mike convinced this whole regime to change how they look at like who they need at linebacker, honestly. Like the type of player and like the mold that they need.
I want to like we all do these like podcasts and we like being right on things we say. Shaq Thompson might have been one of like my calls early in the year where like I beat everybody. Like yeah, I don't think anybody was pounding for Shaq Thompson.
It was crazy work that people were trying to cut him like in training camp. Like maybe they'll cut Shaq Thompson. It's like, come on, bro. Like he's got something left.
It took me a few weeks, but it was when I saw how bad the run defense was early in the year, and I was watching Terrell Bernard. I'm like, this is not good. Like this is a problem. And in Shaq Thompson, I was like, give him a shot. And he was great. And a lot of people later came onto it like a month later. But Shaq Thompson was great. Interception today, huge on the 4th down stop. Got to give credit to Tre'Davious White. That's a move where I've been up and down on. A couple years ago, I told AJ I wouldn't have gotten rid of him. And look at him. Like it shows that like as a vet, that experience matters. Big game, he steps up.
And just because you have some down years as a vet doesn't mean you won't have a good year the year after. It's not like when you have a down year, it's over.
And then you got to give love to Cole Bishop making the play at that moment. I know it's a tip, but credit to him. He was all over the place. And then offensively, Khalil Shakir did his job.
Can we talk about the Bishop part quick, though? Because we all, at various points, were ready to bail on Cole Bishop throughout the time. And I tried to hold on as long as I could. I know I have some arguments on Twitter right before the season with like Jarrett Bailey and some other media folks about Cole Bishop specifically, but I was ready to give up too because it was ugly even to start the season. But Jordan Poyer getting added to this team and added to the starting lineup and playing with Bishop changed everything with him. And he is now like, I can't imagine what their defense would look like without him. Like the pick is one thing, but the pick being in the right place at the right time to make that play. And that's where he's always in the right place to make a play. Even if he's not making the play, he's like around the play too. And it's just such a boon for this team and for the scheme of McDermott to have a safety that's playing outside of himself. And he's been awesome. And I can't not looking ahead too much to next year because I don't imagine Jordan Poyer is a long-term answer. But if they get another like stud or like a very above average guy next to Cole Bishop, they could be terrifying in that secondary for years to come. So Cole Bishop, awesome, man, and good for him to get that moment in this game after the work he's put in.
And isn't that the crazy part? Early on, when they were struggling so much in training camp preseason, early in the season, people are like, Cole Bishop's just never going to be the guy. And I probably said that multiple times too. And a lot of it was Taylor Rapp was playing horrible and was hurt and was really killing them defensively. But you look at what has happened with their secondary over the course of the season to where Christian Benford went from having a slow start to really figuring things out. Trey White is playing well. You have Cole Bishop playing well. Like this secondary is really stepping up. And I think that's the encouraging thing is in the past, the Bills secondary would have these great regular seasons, but in the pivotal moments in the playoffs, they didn't always step up. They didn't always make the plays when needed. And it was disappointing because you had some great players back there. And now it feels like you got this young group outside of Trey and obviously Poyer, but like you have Benford, you have Cole Bishop. When healthy, you have obviously Maxwell Harrison. Like you got a mixture. You got some young guys, and then you got some veterans that are older. But there's new reasons to believe in them. This ain't. It feels like if this team falls short, it's not going to be the same reasons why they fell short the last 5 years. And for me, that's important because I believe when you lose to the same team 4 times in a 5-year span, you start to think this is wrong with my team. That's wrong with my team. And when you believe that team is always going to make the Super Bowl, you're always building your team on how can we beat those guys. And now that the Chiefs are not around, and I don't know if the Bills are going to win next week or they're going to get to the Super Bowl, but there's this like refreshing, we don't have to get past them. Like we can do what we do on a weekly basis. And when we do this on a weekly basis, we're normally the better team. And we normally have a good chance of winning. Yep. And I feel like the talk around the nation is there's this pressure on the Bills. And I actually feel like it's the exact opposite. The media narrative across the nation is there's pressure. I think they're playing more relaxed than ever before because they're not worried about Kansas City or Cincinnati. They're just playing their brand of football and trusting that they're better than who they're going up against.
Yeah. And it's a mental thing. It's a team building thing. They can just go and impose their will, play their game, and that's today. That was not a Jacksonville Jaguars football game. That's not the script they wanted out of this game. That was a Bills game. That was a physical battle. It was you're going to come down and fight with us and grind with us. You're going to have to make your quarterback's going to have to make a couple big plays, and it's Buffalo Bills football. Like that's what that game felt like was a script from there. And I think that's when they're at their best, even against these best teams, it's playing at their pace and how they want to do it. The quarterback's in control. McDermott felt like he was in control of the situation situationally and everything else. And here we are with another win. Like,
the Bills are fighting for more than just a Super Bowl right now. They're fighting to prove they're the best professional sports team in Buffalo.
Listen, it's a heated competition right now too.
This is something they have not dealt with. So, like, the Bills don't get it done, the Sabres might. So the Bills need to prove to Terry that they deserve to be his number one franchise, because if they don't, those resources are going to go to Jarmo Kekalainen, and the Sabres are going to start taking over.
You think Artemi Panarin's a Josh Allen fan?
You know what? It's time to find out.
Sounds good to me, man. All right, well, Mike, I think we got it, because we'll talk more on the matchup and get everybody else in here. But I think we did a good job covering it. We're just ecstatic. I think Mike and I have just been like, since we got on even before the show, just happy as could. Like, we had no idea what to expect. Like, Mike picked. He's admitted to it. He picked the Jags because it felt like a toss-up game, and it felt like a chance. They were playing a really good team. And what did the Bills do? They went on the road and beat a good team. And that you got to feel good about that when you're in this playoff situation. And now, yeah, they're gonna.
One final thought.
Yeah, go ahead.
This feels different.
Yes, doesn't. I was gonna ask. Thank you for that, because I was gonna ask you, what doesn't this feel like a fresh way to win in a playoff game?
Yes, it feels different. A big part of it is you don't have Mahomes, Burrow, Jackson in it.
For sure.
And that your competition has less proven younger quarterbacks. But you know why it also feels different? The Bills hadn't won a road playoff game with Josh Allen. They hadn't won a road playoff game since the 90s. Number two, they hadn't had a fourth quarter comeback game-winning drive in the playoffs during this entire time with Josh Allen. And I know 13 seconds happened and they got screwed over, blah, blah, blah. So this really should be the second. But all season, what did my reservations been? Not taking what's given. In big moments, sometimes he falls short. Can I trust them to play within themselves and do what they're supposed to in these moments? They passed every check mark today. Josh Allen went on a drive. He was comfortable. He didn't force anything. He took the easy throw to Shakir, setting up the 4th and inches QB sneak. And then what does the Bills defense do? They take all the stress away, and they get an interception on the very first play. Those are two things that in the past, the Jaguars would have gone down the field and gotten a field goal, and maybe they would have gotten a touchdown and broke something. The Bills held on. It feels like this team has that quiet confidence. Now, this was a close game that could have gone either way, but that's how you expect it to be in the playoffs, playing the best of the best. So, in my opinion, yes, this feels different, but they still have a lot to prove.
I'm completely with you. But the like you said, the check marks that they hit, they looked composed. Allen didn't look sugar high at all. Looked in control. Like, mentally, all the body language, all those check marks. That is where I'm happy that they hit to pull this one out. And yeah, lots to prove, but happy to have the opportunity again in a divisional round where the pressure ratcheted up again. And that's the thing too. Pressure only gets more. Bills are playing with you go into Denver, you're playing with house money. All the pressure's on the Broncos at that point. You're the one who are the 1 seed. You won the division. This is all your hype. You're in your own barn. It's not Bo Nix's first game, but first home playoff game. Like, Bills are just coming in. Hey, we've been here. We've seen these environments. Like, we can do this. So it's going to be fun, man. We'll be back on Tuesday with the whole crew to break down this game and hear everything else. Shout out to our sponsor, Picasso's Pizza. Get your Picasso's Pizza anywhere nationwide and in Western New York at picassospizza.net. Follow Trainwreck Sports, subscribe and like on YouTube. Follow along for everything Sabres, Bills, Bandits, UB, all sorts of coverage. Sabres play tomorrow night, right? Florida Panthers.
I'll be there looking for the 14th minute in the last 15 games.
14 out of 15 does sound lovely. We could take down the state of Florida in back-to-back nights. It'd be great. What more could you ask for? But all right.
3-3 game. 3-3
electric affair going on in Foxborough. So, yeah, we're going to go lock in for the rest of this fourth quarter, or this game and this last game. Well, second to last game. It's really weird still that there's a Monday night game, but I digress. Thank you, Mike Bunt. Thank you to all our listeners and followers and viewers out there. We'll be back on Tuesday. Go Bills.